to another edition of Know Your History. I'm Mr. Ben, and today my guest on the program is the editor of this book, the Haffey Private Maternity Hospital of Swedesboro, New Jersey. Her name is Teresa E. Carlton. Is that correct?
No, it's actually Teresa.
Oh, I'm sorry. I bet you get that a lot.
I do.
Teresa is the editor of the second edition of this book. It was originally written by Kathleen M. Pearson. And if you could, Teresa, tell us briefly what the book is about and how you got involved in this project.
So the book is about the Haffey Private Maternity Hospital that's located here in Swedesboro. Kathleen Pearson actually started the project because she was born there. She claims that she was like paralyzed from the waist up, and it was actually May Haffey that saved her life. And she realized that there was no information at all about the hospital. So she started to research it and actually found someone who remembered a lot of things about the hospital and came to write the book. Then what happened is that we had from the Historical Society a lot of people writing. We had a newspaper asking people if they were born there to let us know. And then after the book came out, all these people came out of the woodwork saying, well, I was born there. You know, you don't have me in the book. So then it was like we were starting to gather names again. Another woman who was helping with the project was Elaine Rohde, who is a member of the Historical Society, and she died suddenly in 2014. And then Kathleen, I guess, either just didn't have the heart to do it anymore. She just kind of handed me all this stuff, and it was like, oh, okay. So I guess it was good, though, because then I was able to edit it. I was able to actually go and look at the original records, which Kathleen was unable to do. So I was able to correct names and dates and add all those additional names and, you know, kind of put it in more of a literally fashion.
Very good. Could you tell us who was, her real name was Mary Olive Haffey, a.k.a. May Haffey. Could you tell us something about her?
So she was born December 24th, 1889. She graduated from the West Jersey Homeopathic Hospital in Camden in 1913 in a class of 4 students, and she became a nurse. In 1919, her mom became ill, and I guess she had decided that she needed to take care of her mother, and I'm assuming she decided she needed to make money somehow. So she opened up her own maternity hospital, which was quite a feat in that day because most women, you know, worked in their home. And she owned and ran that hospital for about 33 years.
Now, was she a midwife? Did she actually deliver the babies, or?
Well, there's stories that she did deliver a few babies, but no, they were actually doctors that came to the hospital and delivered the babies.
Okay, so different doctors would come to May Haffey's home, which became this private maternity hospital.
That's correct.
And delivered the babies there.
Yep.
And how long did you say the hospital was in operation?
So it was from 1919, actually till 1952. The first book said it was 1951, but when I was researching records, we found that there were some babies born there.
Too. And where is this hospital located?
It's right here in Swedesboro, and it's located on the corner of Thompson and Park Avenue.
Okay, and I noticed, who was Ava Horner? I see her name a lot comes up in the book.
So Ava Horner was a woman who, I'm not exactly sure how they met, but she came to Swedesboro, and she was pregnant and single, and at that time, you know, that would generate a lot of gossip and problems, and May Haffey took her in, and she worked at the hospital for May all of those years. She worked from like 6:30 a.m. to 9:30 at night, 7 days a week for $1 a day. She did the laundry, the food, the garden, helped take care of the moms and the babies along with them.
So she was her right-hand man. so to speak.
Yep.
How many maternity patients could there be? Could the hospital handle at any one?
Well, looking at the description of the maternity hospital, it looks like there would be about 6, because it looks like there were 3 bedrooms that housed the patients, and there were 2 in a room.
And what was the average stay of the moms and babies at that time?
2 weeks, not like today where you're in and out.
Okay, and they called that the mother's vacation, referred to in the book. I read one in the book where one baby had to be put in a wash basket, closed because they didn't have enough cribs. So I guess there were times when it was somewhat crowded, when no cribs were available. By the way, I should show you a picture of May Haffey. This is in the book. It's her photograph in her nurse's outfit. Now, this book generated a lot of interest, hasn't it? Especially for those who were either born at the hospital or people who had loved ones born there.
Well, I guess it's kind of like people who are really into their genealogies, and I guess it's kind of exciting to know that there's information out there of this little tiny maternity home that was in a little remote, small, historic town like Swedesboro.
Any idea of how many babies were actually born at the May Haffey Hospital?
Well, again, the records, there was a flood over at the borough, so some of the records were destroyed. It's also very difficult to discern sometimes if a person was born, because of the older records, it didn't even have the child's name. It would just have like dad's name, and then it wasn't until later years that they actually started listing the hospital where children were born. So Kathleen was just kind of estimating. I don't know if she read it somewhere, but she thought there was between 5,000 and 6,000 babies born there.
A lot of diapers. Would you relate? I imagine there's a lot of interesting stories. I know there's a lot of interesting stories in the book. Could you just relate a few of those funny or strange stories that stick in your mind?
There's some about May too, because May was kind of a forward woman.
I meant to ask you, what kind of person was she?
Yeah, so I mean, there were people who said that she was very forward. She just spoke her mind, said what whatever was on it. For example, over here, it's the Howe family says that their mom always said how stern May Haffey was. May told the woman that they didn't cry when the baby was put in, so they shouldn't cry when the baby comes out. That was one of the things that kind of shows her.
She looks a little stern, a little rough in her photograph, but I'm sure she had a kind heart.
Mr. Gares was only around 5 years old when he had met Mrs. Haffey. He lived across the street. He got the impression that she wasn't very nice or friendly. He said she was rough around the edges.
Regular tough customer, I'd say.
And the Hyman family said May Haffey would just say, "It's your job. You have to do it," regarding giving birth. She had no sympathy. But she was also very kind, because like I said, she took this Ava Horner in at a time when that wasn't people weren't thought very well of if they were pregnant and were not married. People, called her Ma Haffey. I heard that she even went to like some of the baby showers and things, so she must have been kind of well loved at the same time. And then getting back to your thing about some humorous stories, I'll share with you. I'll find them in my book here. So Gloria Fry reported that her mother told her when it was time for her to be delivered, Dr. Black was nowhere to be found. When he finally arrived at the hospital, he was drunk. But fortunately, the nurse had already delivered her, which I'm assuming was very happy. Dr. Black sent her mother a bill for $50 for delivering Gloria. Her mother never paid the bill. Let's see, another one. The story goes that Dr. Stewart was delivering Mary Sarbello too many boys, so she changed doctors from Dr. Stewart to Dr. Lintz. As it happened, she did have a girl, Anita Rose, in 1948 after Joseph and Michael. She had to wear a corset after giving birth.
What a coincidence.
And then, let's see. Dolores Carey remembers it was a new experience. She had her first two babies there and can remember walking up and down the hall with May Haffey saying, "Don't you dare sit down, keep walking." And when her second son came, he came so fast she still had her coat on. And May joked, "You think you'd know which room you should go to." And the last one I'll share is one man during his early years had his tonsils removed, but he refused to stay overnight because he couldn't stand all the howling.
So besides deliveries, there were some minor surgeries performed?
Yeah, it sounds like quite a few tonsillectomies were done there, and then I guess a few other minor surgeries.
But May Haffey herself, she never had any children of her own, is that correct?
Yeah, she was never married, and she never had any children.
And the house, we mentioned it's on Park and Thompson. It's still there, right? It's a
still there, but it's a private residence.
Private residence, so don't go there, expecting a tour of the place. But it is still there, privately owned. And if people are interested in your book, then where could they get a copy of this?
Well, I work at the GCLS Swedesboro Library, so you can give a call over there, and I'll be sure to get you a copy. The proceeds all go to the Swedesboro Woolwich Historical Society.
Very good. And I'm looking through your book, I found out that my Uncle Alvin was actually born my dad's brother at the May Haffey Maternity Hospital.
Yes, that's right.
So my Gammy gave birth there, which I didn't know.
We were researching, we found that out. That was kind of exciting.
Well, that's about all we have time for today. I want to thank my guest, Teresa Carlton, and Teresa Carlton, for appearing on today's edition of Know Your History. And I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time on Know Your History. Bye for now.